Let's take a look back at Iron Viz 2019.
Look at us, we've scrubbed up pretty well, don't you think?
What? I woke up like this. Someone will leave here tonight a data superstar because this is Iron Viz! Food data is wonderful because food is part of our culture, and Josh found a story in this data that is very personal to him.
These dashboards are about celebrating international cuisine and the people and the stories and the culture and the ingredients behind those things.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky.
So you're going to start to see that story develop and bake, if you will.
So let me take you on a journey through data.
I'm not understanding how you have a dual axis with lines connecting them.
All my dashboard is floating.
The winner of the 2019 Iron Viz competition is... It's a tie!
How does it feel?
Confusing? Confusing, yes.
1 year ago, I didn't know something like Tableau existed, and here I am today holding this.
Yeah. It's time for Iron Viz 2020! Hello everybody, I'm Andy Cotbury.
And I'm Keisha Rose. Welcome to Iron Viz 2020.
And what a year it's been, folks. Since we can't be together in person, we're going to celebrate this year internationally.
We have contestants from Europe and North America competing to be crowned this year's Iron Viz champion.
And they're going to be helped by the Tableau savvy mentors, the vizzes. They're going to be evaluated by world-class experts, including 2 past Iron Viz award winners.
Thousands of audience members from all over the world are tuning into this competition. In fact, let's bring up a few of them now. Wave hello, everybody.
What a gorgeous audience.
We have people watching from everywhere because this is still the most prestigious analytical competition in the history of humankind. We know. We checked. The 2020 Iron Viz Championship comes down to 3 fierce contenders.
That's right, and together we're going to find out which one of them creates the viz that is the shiz.
Okay, you stick with that, Andy. But you visionaries know Tableau Public is the heart and soul of Iron Viz. There are over 2 million vizzes on Tableau Public, and each day the team features a new storytelling masterpiece with Viz of the Day.
That's right. If you want a daily dose of Vizpiration straight to your inbox, then head on over to Tableau Public and click on subscribe. But now, let's get back to today's competition.
Today's finalists rose to the top from hundreds of incredible submissions, competing for thousands of dollars in prize money, not only for themselves, but for a charity of their choice.
And it's a nerve-wracking experience for the contenders, but incredibly inspiring for you, our remarkable data community. And we've done everything possible to make them feel at home, which is easier this year because that's where they're working from, home.
And now, let's meet the visualization superstars battling it out to become the winner of Iron Viz 2020. First up, Simon Beaumont.
Hey everyone, this is Simon. And this is Liz in the south of England, where I live with my wife Amanda and little boy Ollie.
London's about an hour north, and the coast is about 30 minutes south.
And there is no getting away from it. I am a Baldies do data. My Tableau journey started 5 years ago when I was rolling out version 8. We didn't even have animations in those days. Today I am really proud to be a Tableau ambassador and Zen master, and I love combining my 2 absolute passions, sport and data, in Sports Viz Sunday. Now I am going to be the Iron Viz champion because of you, because every single day you inspire me through the Tableau community. Thank you.
I'm Courtney Guck, and I'm in Chicago, Illinois. I'm supervising for Simon Beaumont.
We get a great view of Lake Michigan and Chicago back here, so let's head out. It's a great day outside.
I bring both smiles and energy to this cross-Atlantic team. Team Simon is playing for the UN World Food Program.
And now, let's meet Alex Jones.
I'm Alex Jones. I come from Dalston, which is in London.
When you're in central London, it's nice to have a bit of an outdoor space where you can breathe in all those CO2 emissions that I've just fizzed about. So this is the bedroom, flat, home office, standing desk, absolutely have to have. Really important if you're going to be a Viz champion that you have mascots. And if I shape my dartboard, sometimes I just like to really, like let rip the darts.
I used to absolutely love Excel to an unhealthy degree, but I think I just thought, there's got to be more to life than this. I thought I was rubbish when I started this Tableau journey, and I think hard work has definitely paid off.
Hi, my name is Lauren Carney, and I am from the amazing city of Boston, Massachusetts. I am very excited to be on Team Alex.
See my dog Jamie here. I have lots of vintage Tableau conference water bottles, so I think one of them's from 2016.
Team Alex is playing for the Nature Conservancy.
And last but not least, Christian Felix.
Double shot of espresso. That's good looking espresso.
My name is Christian Felix. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. One of the things I love about Tucson in general is 300 days of sunshine. Over the last 5 or so years, I've been using Tableau every day. I love the tool. I love the job. Being behind a computer all day, it's really almost like therapy for me just to get out and garden.
One of my goals at the outset of the year was to participate in Iron Viz. I'm going to really explore the data set. I'm going to do my best to uncover a story that absolutely needs to be told, that I'm passionate about telling, as simple as possible, and yet make it compelling and beautiful, like you can only do with Tableau. So I figure if I do those things, I have a really good shot at winning.
My name's Sasha Singh, and I'm working from Austin, Texas. This is my roommate, Lumpy. I'll let him go. I'm Christian Felix's supervisor, and I bring 4 years as a tabloid and a ton of passion to Team Felix. Team Felix is playing for the Nature Conservancy.
Hello, contestants. We hope you are ready.
Because the stakes are high. Not only will someone be named Iron Viz 2020 champion, they will win a cash prize of $10,000 and $5,000 from Tableau to donate to their charity of choice.
All checks payable to the Andy Cockery Foundation. It's a charity that keeps Tableau evangelists off the streets and in fine jackets and wearing lovely shoes.
Or the Keisha Fund, where $5,000 would help pay off my visa bill.
All joking aside, the stakes are high for our contestants and the charities they have chosen.
Together, we'll be watching our contestants as they click, drag, and drop. Then you, along with our judges, will decide whose Viz will reign supreme.
Speaking of judges, we wouldn't be here without the help of our pre-qualified judges. It is quite a process. In fact, everybody should know what goes into narrowing the field to 3 competitors.
Let's give our contestants time to prepare while we get to know an industry leader who knows how to make the most of a Viz and can tell us what the judges will be looking for. Please welcome round 1 judge, Meera Uman Shankar. Thank you so much for being with us today, Meera.
Hey, thanks, Keisha. Thanks for having me. And hello, everyone. I'm Meera Uman Shankar from India, currently living in Singapore. I work for a leading global consumer bank as an assistant vice president in data democratization. I'm so obsessed with Tableau, and I do a lot of data visualization stuff, and it's become my passion as well.
Clearly, because this year you are a part of our judging team. So how did that come to be?
Last year, I participated, I entered for Iron Viz, and my Viz was on top 10, which was quite exciting. This year, I'm really thankful that I got to be one of the first round Iron Viz judges. It was my first time judging, so it was challenging as well. Looking at all the 372 entries this year, wow, that was really mind-boggling.
Yeah, I think it's a record high this year for entries. Now this year, we're not doing the big live stage. We're all from our own homes, but what types of things are you looking forward to seeing during Iron Viz?
Yeah, it's going to be really different because last year I attended the first Tableau conference in Las Vegas, and it was just, I was blown away by, thousands of people watching Iron Viz live on stage, and it was really amazing. So we will all miss it, but remember, this year we're going to stay connected virtually, and we're all going to get our front row seats. So I'm looking forward to what the 3 contestants have for us this year.
Absolutely. I'm so looking forward to see what we get built on this virtual stage. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mira.
Thank you, Keisha.
And for this, the final round of the competition, we have put together a world-class panel of Viz-savvy leaders. It's time to meet the judges. Jock McKinley.
Ellie Field.
And last year's Iron Viz champions, Joshua Smith.
And Hisham Isa. Here are the rules and expectations.
Our contestants will be judged in 3 areas: analysis, design, and storytelling. Each contestant can earn a potential total of 100 points, and the contestant with the most points will win. Our judges are allocating 90 of those points, and the last 10 points, they're up to you, because you get to vote for your favourite Viz, and we'll tell you more about that later.
And of course, we want to know what you're thinking throughout this whole competition. So post on Twitter using the hashtag IronViz.
Contestants, you have 20 minutes to get the builds done. Your data set is on a timely topic, the environment. Our data providers include climate at a glance from NOAA,
CO2 emissions and ancillary data for 343 cities from Pangea,
and the WHO's global urban ambient air pollution data.
Judges, go sharpen your pencils and get ready to be judges.
We'll check in with you all to see the highlights of each build.
Your 20 minutes begins in... Actually, go ahead and count down with us at home. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Start clock, please.
They're off and running. They have 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
All right, so here Alex is bringing in the data that he had prepared in prep, actually. And so he chose to use 2 out of the 3 data sets that we had. Now, even though that seems pretty simple, he actually had to do quite a bit of data cleansing. So he had to use tools like regex to take out foreign characters such as commas, apostrophes, to figure out which cities to rename. We can see that he's doing a lot of the pre-work, really just laying the groundwork of creating sets and parameters so that he can use really great new features like set actions and parameter actions later on in his dashboard that really make for end user exploration.
Some interesting stuff that he did before even bringing in or opening up Tableau is we prep the data to grab just the capital cities around the world. They had some good data quality for those capital cities, so we're going to see him bring in that prepped data, along with those color palettes, some beautiful purples, yellows, oranges.
So this data set that Christian's connecting to right now, he created by joining together the WHO air pollution data with the CO2 emissions data. And he actually did that in Tableau Prep. And the funny thing he told me is that it was his first time using Prep, but he managed to figure it out in just a few minutes. So I think it just goes to show he's such a pro at Tableau, he was able to figure it out really quickly.
Got some colourful stuff in line for us, eh?
Absolutely. I love to see how those play out. Oh, looks like we're going for another one of those Lindsay tricks from last year. I love to see this, though. It's so easy and fast to get those calculations prepped and ready.
It was amazing last year, Keisha, when we saw this for the first time live. We'd scripted, let's just do our thing, and then the audience just went gasp, right? As Lindsay was doing this text drag and drop. A bunch of data geeks in an audience certainly love this kind of stuff.
Yep, that's exactly what Christian told me, that he got this trick from Lindsay and saved him a ton of time. It's so funny.
There was another one Christian just did there. In case you're new to Tableau, you can select a bunch of calculations or measures at the same time and do default aggregations and sorting and number formats in a single click with all of them. So that's good.
Oh, there's that classic Lindsay Poulter trick, dragging in those calculations from text.
Simon was on his feet at last year's Iron Viz seeing that happen, so he was so excited to get to use it.
I know there's going to be controversy with this background image. There'll be some people saying, couldn't he have built that with text boxes in the 20 minutes of Iron Viz? What do you think about that, Keisha? Any thoughts?
I don't know. There's so much going on. I think I'll have to see and see what it looks like at the end to see how much time he really would have left over. But just from the preparation we've seen so far, I think he's trying to, get the most out of the 20 minutes where he can.
Now, one of the interesting things that Alex is doing here is he's comparing 6 different metrics, or rather letting the end user compare 6 different metrics. And so in order to do that, it was a little bit tricky because those metrics are on different scales. If you think about it, emissions is not going to be on the same scale as energy usage for a particular city. And so again, he had to use prep in order to make sure that the data is in the best format for the visualization. So he was able to use prep to find the minimum and the maximum of each metric to normalize them between 0 and 1, which will then help him with the size of the shapes so that we can directly compare.
I noticed Christian's using extensive use of the find box to get to his measures and dimensions really quickly. Control F gets you straight to the... Whoa, what happened there? Hang on. Forget the find box. Sasha, what's going on?
So this is another trick that Christian did in Tableau Prep where he densified his data and created a couple of calculations that allowed us to see that sort of curved line on the map.
Indeed. I'm going to assume those lines are going to feed down from something above it on the dashboard in the end.
As the dashboard starts to come together, I think it'll kind of make sense what he's going for.
Let's take a look at the clock and see how much time is left.
Now, what Simon's building right now is going to turn into an area bar chart inspired by the Financial Times. So right now it looks a little messy. It's technically just a type of scatter plot that's using a bar at this point, but once he adds some more formatting, sorting, resizing, we're going to see a beautiful area bar chart.
Nice. So hang on a minute. There's too much to unpack here. So these are not shapes. Well, clearly they're shapes, but from a Tableau perspective, they're not shapes. They are polygons.
That is correct. Yes, they are polygons. And so there's multiple polygons on here that's grouped into the different cities. So the different clusters that you see there, those are the cities, and each of the shapes indicates a different metric that we're looking at here.
Jock, is this a use of a glyph? Is that the right term for the kind of multiple shapes with different sizes? Can you explain what's happening?
It's related to a glyph, but each of the marks are encoding a different, or sometimes more than one measure, which is much more effective in terms of understanding the encoding. Glyphs tend to be a weird combination of measures. So this is perfectly fine in my opinion.
Christian mentioned that whenever he starts working with a new data set, especially when it's really dense, like the data that he was working with here, he always likes to build scatter plots just to understand the relationships between different measures. And that really helped him kind of craft his story. And the story that he found in the data too was that relationship between GDP and PM25. And so that's kind of what he's focusing on in this scatter plot.
This is one of my favorite parts, is that you really have no idea sometimes where they're going with the viz, and then at the end you're like, oh, it makes so much sense now that it's all together.
All right, so now Alex is going on and he is creating the 6 worksheets that will correlate with his metrics. So he has 6 metrics that he's going to allow end users to explore in this dashboard.
Yeah, he's clearly doing something very intentional here with the XY placement and the parameter. And it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out.
We're nearly halfway home.
Now, Christian's using the just drag and drop and size things by eye technique.
I love that he worked his color palette and the legend into the title, because those colors are really driving so much of the story, and you just see it sort of front and center.
It's such a great way to save real estate when you're trying to build a dashboard, in a business environment as well. It's like, how do I fit the legend and all these other things that I need to show to the end user, and color legend in the title is a great technique. Nice. And there's the bar chart. I see. Ah.
You were right, Andy. Something coming in from outside the map, flowing into the different cities.
This technique actually reminds me a little bit of Hisham Ice's Iron Viz final entry last year. He was one of the finalists and did a slightly similar idea of a chart at the top feeding lines down to a map beneath. Really powerful and striking graphic approach. Nice work.
I also really like the modern design of this dashboard. Because the main context, which obviously the map, you can see it without any things surrounding it or any noise, and you can see some kind of additional context on the right. So I think this is a good, nice modern design touch in here.
I'm not going to ruin the surprise here, but let's hang on for a second and see what maybe sorting has to do with it in the end. Now, Simon's starting to build a series of Gantt charts here that we're going to see him using specific country information to tell a story with little use cases and elements of text storytelling along with a visual that goes with it.
Again, I always am so curious to how these vizzes are turning out because I'm looking at these lines. It almost looks like a barcode or something. Are each of these different cities? Is that what we're looking at here?
So yes, each of them are within. He's going to do a little highlighting of cities across countries that are of interest, places with really low emissions, really high emissions, and he's building out a Gantt chart that's going to kind of flow along and just point out some interesting details about countries with different emissions policies.
Looking a little different here.
Here's the color palettes that Simon added in the preferences file. So we had plasma and Iron Viz color palettes. That's a good shortcut. It's really interesting. We give the contestants a set of rules that they have to abide by, and it's amazing. Not only are they hacking Tableau to work out shortcuts in Tableau, they're coming up with creative ways to stay within the rules, but speed up the build process so they can get everything done in this 20 minutes. It's just so much fun to see. It's always this time of year we have to ask, are you team tile or team float?
I generally do go for a tiled layout, but looks like Alex is going float here, so we'll see how he uses it.
Yeah.
I think part of that is that he is about to overlay the second worksheet on top of the first one. And so in order to do that, it's much simpler to do that with the float approach than the tiled. So maybe normally he would be tile, but right now he's team float.
There's definitely space for both teams. Yeah.
Boy, there's so many different worksheets and measures and dimensions he needs to remember for all these highlight actions. My gosh. He's just flying through them. It's great.
Whoa. Wait, did he just press cancel, Lauren? Did he just add all those sat actions and press cancel?
Oh no, they're all deleted. I hope he has enough time to finish.
Oh no.
And he's got to go back through all of those selections all over again. The clock is quickly winding down.
He was really excited about being able to use simple charts and beautiful colors to tell the story. He was off the bat. I was like, you should do a radial bar chart with a crazy sunburst. He's like, I'm going to use bars and I'm going to use them very well. So I think that's a winner's mindset.
And he's brought in a new data set here, story points extract, with 5 minutes to go. What?
Yeah, this made me nervous. He's working on some scaffolding here to be able to make some story points just work in chronological order. So this data set's primarily just the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, letters A, B, C, D, E.
What's interesting here, Christian's doing this on a second dashboard. We see other contestants are doing it in a hidden show hide layout container. And this is the great thing about Tableau. You can use navigation buttons. Yeah, look, as we're seeing now, to navigate from one dashboard to another. That's another way to show hide or allow people to move around different parts of sort of the dashboard experience. It's really good to see the variety on show today.
Yeah, he debated sort of back and forth whether or not to use the show hide or a second dashboard, but I think this one was better for performance on his dashboard. So ultimately separating it out worked better.
Time's almost up.
Had to go and create a data set which will line up those dots so that they line next to each of those titles and then make them interactive. So that is beyond almost all business applications of Tableau, but for Iron Viz, the judges are going to love that, I'm sure. Yeah, I find it amazing with animations, set actions, parameters, all those things we've added in the last 18 months create way richer interactive data experiences for end users. That's amazing.
Oh, we got one more left. Oh, just that highlight action at the end. Very important one. Oh, he forgot the dimension on the worksheet to tie it to the view.
All right.
Definitely playing a little bit of catch up here, but I think he's got it.
Right.
There we go. All right. That is all of the actions he had today, so I'm definitely taking a deep breath for.
We are out of time, right?
Congratulations.
I think we did it, mate.
Thank you. It's a lot weirder with the count going down rather than my iPhone, which has been going up.
Leave those cameras up, folks, because we're going live into your homes to see how you take care of business.
pushing up above, no people pushing or shoving. Working from home is looking pretty. And if your kids are on time, they are homeschooling by 9 and start the job you love to get your pay. Some of you are overjoyed. Look at you, you're self-employed, analyzing, visualizing all day. And you'll be taking care of business. Tableau way, taking care of business. Tableau way, I'll be taking care of business. It's all mine, taking care of business and working overtime. Work out.
Well, that's something I didn't visualize doing in front of thousands of viewers.
That's the great thing about working at Tableau. There's always some new surprise waiting just around the corner. And speaking of surprises...
Yep, I'm sure there are going to be lots of surprises in the next part of the show. We've given the contestants a few minutes to clear their heads, but now it's time to hear about their builds.
Capital cities. Cities that most, if not all of us, can relate to. Whether you're one of the 562 million residents or one of the hundreds of millions of visitors each year, we have all experienced the conveniences of city life. But if you knew the particulars about air pollution, would you live there? Would you visit there? Poor air quality can significantly impact your health. I explore rates of the deadlier atmospheric particulate matter PM2.5. Shockingly, 95% of people within 33 sample capital cities are living within air pollution that exceeds the WHO's safe level of 10 micrograms per cubic metre. That is 107 million people. As we further explore, we see pollution using a pre-attentive attribute of colour, which categorises rates as a multiple of the safe level. But here's where things get interesting. The area bar chart emphasises populations through size, avoiding some of the limitations of scatter diagrams when points share values in close proximity. The thumbs down on Beijing? Hold that thought, we're going to come to it later. So first off, let's dispel the myth that big is bad. Air pollution is actually far more complex than a link to population size. Supported by statistics and Tableau's animations, bars are reordered with air pollution rates to populations. Can you see the random heights of the bar? Yes? Well, that's weak correlation. And then we come on to Norway. Norway has committed to becoming carbon neutral by 2030. With government tax breaks for electronic car ownership, some of the highest gasoline costs and the shortest mean one-way travel times, Oslo is embracing a green future, proving targeted action makes a difference. But how about La Paz? Bolivia's constitutional capital, with high levels of methane emissions from agricultural waste burning and a reliance on vehicles fueled by low gasoline prices, residents face rates that are 4 times the safe level. And finally, China. Remember Beijing? Its 11 million residents faced rates that are 8 times that of the safe level. Yes, 8 times. In reality, Beijing is indicative of China's air pollution challenges. Every Chinese city in the wider dataset has rates that exceed the safe level. That said, China should be commended for gathering this data in the first place. So now you see and understand the data, how does it make you feel?
Just quickly starting with the design, hugely inspired by the works of Georgia Lupi and Sonia Kupers, and I've tried to keep it really simple, yet obviously give it a bit of depth on closer inspection. It's essentially a view for non-data people, and obviously what I've tried to do there is create both a static and an interactive visual. So here we have a subset of cities. We're reporting a complex subject in air particulate and emissions, both bad things. So I wanted to make it kind of straightforward enough for those people who aren't maybe like well versed in that subject. In terms of the cities, if we hover, we've got information on each of those. The idea is that you can compare between the particulate, which is this red blob, and the emissions on the left-hand side, which is the yellow. And then we've got some additional information around the energy demand, which is underneath, presumably linking with the emissions. I've done it like this so we can essentially look at the macro and the micro picture. So as an example, and I apologise, I've swapped these labels around. However, if we were to look at, for example, the cities with high levels of particulate, I'd select these two, and then I'd hit this Show Me Highlight. And what that's doing is it's drawing out instantly that insight around these cities. Some of these developing nations obviously have a high level of air particulate, and using this action, it's really drawing that out. Potentially, we want to look at the flip side of that, which is actually which cities have the lowest level of particulate. So then, if I select this, we're showing another group of cities here, which have low particulate in the air. But I mean, surprisingly, we have New York here, which, when we come on to total emissions, is one of the cities actually that has the most emissions, which is really interesting. So really low particulate but high emissions. What we can do here is actually flick to total emissions, and we see that New York's actually like one of the biggest, alongside like Shanghai, Istanbul, Singapore. This flip is really useful for drawing that out, the flip between total emissions and emissions per capita. Perhaps we'd want to look at in terms of total energy needs, so a country that has like a high energy need versus like a really high emissions per capita. And Oslo comes to the fore. So actually, it's got very low emissions per capita, but a high energy need. So they must be doing something really well there. There are a lot of stories in this viz, and it's all there to be interacted with and played with, and to get those stories teased out.
So I decided to call my viz The Air We Breathe, and I really focused on the PM2.5 particles in the air pollution data. As I researched this, these PM2.5 smaller particles, as bad as the PM10 particles were, these smaller ones really, they stayed in the air longer, they traveled further, and they contributed to all sorts of ailments like asthma, respiratory inflammation, and cancer. So I focused primarily on the PM2.5 particles. I divided the data into three categories: cities that had healthy breathing air, moderately healthy, and unhealthy breathing air. And these were definitions in the data provided by the EPA. And what you see in the viz is that there's a huge global divide between cities and locations that have healthy breathing air and unhealthy breathing air. And it's one thing to look at it from the city level, but when you look at it from people, when you actually drill down to population, the difference becomes really stark. And so you have 284 million people in the data set that have unhealthy breathing air, compared to 64 million that have healthy breathing air. And so what I wanted to do was sort of drill down into the data to figure out what was causing this discrepancy. And there were lots of variables in the data, things like congestion rates, things like CO2 emissions, things like exports, and all sorts of other variables. But the one that really stuck out to me was nominal GDP. And this trend line in the lower right-hand corner of the dashboard shows the relationship between nominal GDP and PM2.5 air pollution. And what I wanted to do was use Tableau and use Tableau Prep to model how would air pollution change for cities if nominal GDP increased by certain percentages. And so I used the formula provided by Tableau. I modeled it in Tableau Prep, and I used the navigation control in the Pages shelf to model these changes. And look what happens. You can see a city like Johannesburg, South Africa. They go from unhealthy breathing air to moderately healthy breathing air with a 30% GDP change. And that may seem like a lot for countries in the West, mature economies, but for developing economies, that's a 3 to 5 year change. And so looking at this data, it gave me hope. And it gave me hope that countries can go from poor, unhealthy breathing air to moderately healthy, eventually to healthy breathing air. And wanted to allow people to explore that possibility in the Viz.
Thanks, guys. That was fascinating.
And it's almost time to open up the voting. Standard text message rates apply according to your cellular provider plan.
Poll Everywhere does not charge for text message responses. Audience members outside of Canada and the United States will not incur long-distance texting charges, but other charges may apply.
The US and Canada text voting number is 37607.
Worldwide text voting number is +1 747 444 3548.
And text IV20 Simon if you're Team Simon Bowman.
Text IV20 Alex to vote for Alex Jones.
Or text IV20 Felix to support Christian Felix.
All that information will be scrolling across your screen while the voting is open.
And you'll soon be able to vote for the visa of your choice.
Because it's time to open up the voting, and it's still anyone's game, so text your votes now.
And speaking of games, it's time to meet another Tableau superstar, somebody who's on top of their game. Please welcome first-time Iron Viz contestant and top 10 feeder finalist from this year's 2020 competition. It's Brendan Gu.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here. My name is Brendan Gu. I'm a current junior at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm a math major. So go Tartans.
Yeah, go Tartans. I'm British, Brendan. I don't know what that means. So let's carry on with the interview. So you entered Iron Viz, the feeder, for the first time. What made you want to enter Iron Viz? Why did you devote the time to this?
I was really motivated by the diet rankings released by US News for 2020. And I really saw an opportunity to kind of explore diets further and learn more about it, but also create an awesome viz in the process.
I really liked it because, you had some nice bar charts, a couple of line charts, but you stuck in one of my guilty secret favorite charts, a radar chart. Sometimes not seen as the best kind of chart, but I think they're great. Well, how did you what was the creative process and how did you make the decisions about what to put in and what not to put in?
The way it was organized was it gave rankings for each individual category. So it was like heart health or like weight loss potential and stuff like that. But there was a lot of categories, and I didn't want to really create a bar chart for every type of diet because there's a lot of diets, And what I decided to do instead was create to take each diet and create a radar chart for each one individually. And I think that really worked out really well. And going off of that, a lot of the other plots I chose to use were kind of chosen to complement that. A lot of them were really simple, as you pointed out. So I think they all came together to really create a full picture of what I was trying to present.
What would you say to other students or even non-students who might be thinking about getting into Tableau or dipping their toes into Iron Viz in the future?
Yeah, the advice I'd give is just jump straight into it. That's kind of what I did. In my freshman year, I was learning about data visualization for the first time. And I used R and ggplot. And I discovered that since I didn't really know R, it was kind of tough to really decide or really know what I wanted to do and how to really do it. Whereas I picked up Tableau a little bit later on, and I found that it was immediately a lot more accessible, even to somebody that didn't really know how to use Tableau or any of like the intricacies of it. Because at a high level, it's really friendly to beginners.
I love that advice. I started using Tableau 13 years ago, and I used to be a software engineer. And I loved Tableau because it meant I never had to write code again, and I could make 1,000 charts in the time it might have taken me to program one or two. So that is really good advice. So, Brendan, thanks so much for sharing your advice and your thoughts. Congratulations on being a top 10 finalist this year, and best of luck for the future. But before we finish this section, there is another announcement. We are doing a Iron Viz competition just for people like Brendan. Students, yes, I'm delighted to announce the Iron Viz Student Edition. We are going to open this for submissions right now. It's open right now. We want to elevate the voices of our students by providing students with opportunities to showcase their data skills, give them an opportunity to boost their resumes, and build their networking opportunities throughout the Tableau and data visualization communities. So I think that's going to be really exciting. Can't wait to see what people are going to build. Do get involved, and to learn more, go to tableau.com/studentironviz. Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you.
How wonderful. Hey, students watching, start training for Student Iron Viz.
Now, you've all still got a little while left to vote. While you're doing that, let's ask last year's winners and this year's judges, Hisham Isa and Josh Smith, how they were feeling at this point when they were waiting to hear their results.
During that time before they announced who won, I would say primarily, my feet hurt and I was thirsty. Were two of the things really going through my mind. I chugged that water bottle they provided like nobody's business. But then we just kept waiting and waiting and waiting because it was a tie and there was so much anticipation and I didn't know what to think. And to be honest, I was pretty certain when they announced it was a tie that the names they were going to call were Hisham and Lindsay. So I was confused that it was a tie, and honestly, a little bit confused in the beginning that it was my name called in addition to Hisham's. It was a very, very long stretch of time.
It was a mixture of feelings all together at the same time. It was the longest minute I ever experienced. But at the same time, I wanted to be set-free. But at the same time, I was happy that Josh, Lindsay, and myself managed to deliver our presentation and dashboard in time. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then when they announced there was a tie, I think they mentioned Josh's name first. And I thought there was a mistake or something because it was taking a long time. So I was just in a state of confusion and I kept hesitating, didn't move forward. But I'm happy with how it ended, and it was awesome.
It looks as if the polls have closed.
Let's hear from the judges. What did you think of this year's vizzes?
The vizzes were really fantastic this year on all three judging criteria: analysis, design, and storytelling. Of course, design, there's a subjective aspect to that, but I really liked all three of them, and tried my best as a judge to try and identify the one that was at the top, but oh so difficult.
Work produced was incredible this year. It's been an honor judging, and congratulations to all the contestants.
Great job to all the contestants this year. It's always fun to see the creativity, the design, the Viz best practices, and the deep analysis come together to create something really, really cool. Thank you all for all the time you put into it. Way to go, Iron Viz.
Judges, thank you for those insights. Great work.
Contestants, are you ready? It's time to see the results.
All contestants have already won free admission to TC21. And now, let's find out how the results played out.
In third place, winner of $2,000 and a $1,000 donation to the Nature Conservancy, we have Alex Jones.
Our second place winner will receive $5,000 in cash and a $2,000 donation to the charity of their choice. Our winner will receive $10,000 in cash and a $5,000 donation to the charity of their choice. Our second place winner is Simon Beaumont.
Meaning the TC20 Iron Viz champion is Christian Felix.
Oh my gosh.
Congratulations, Christian.
I guess, I just want to thank my wife, first and foremost, for fully encouraging me to give myself to this. It was a lot of hours, a lot of prep, and she's super encouraging.
I want to thank people in the Tableau community. People like Lindsay Bessendahl, Kevin Plurlidge, Justin Davis, Steve Wexler, Michael Perillo, Sarah Bartlett, just to name a few, who were super encouraging when I first started participating in community events, and so many other people. Thank you to people at Roche, Tucson Tug Team. This is absolutely amazing. Wow. Thank you.
Oh, wow. What an Iron Viz thing.
We'd like to thank everyone who helped it happen.
Yeah, and a special thank you to our Diamond event sponsor, Snowflake.
You know, I think it may have virtually been the best we've done yet, Andy.
Well, Keisha, to be fair, it's the only virtual one we've ever done.
That's true, but I still think it was better than ever before. We got to travel the world from the comfort of our own homes.
You're right, we were all over North America and Europe.
And I'm not gonna lie, I love seeing into other people's homes. And we have a special surprise for all of you wanting to go deeper with Tableau and Iron Viz.
Yeah, we know today is going to leave many of you hungry for more. So in the next 3 episodes of If Data Could Talk, we're going to be watching the entire 20-minute build with each of the 3 finalists.
Because you all put the shiz in the viz.
Keisha, that's my line.
Hey, it is what it is, Andy. I think everyone involved did a great job taking care of business. And on behalf of myself, Keisha Rose,
and me, Andy Cockreed, and the entire Tableau family, thank you for joining us for TC20's Iron Viz.
Hey, Tableau community, we have a song especially for you. It goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Zoom with the big city. People pushing up above, no people pushing or shoving. Working from home is looking pretty. And if your kids on time, they are homeschooling by 9 and start the job you love to get your pay. Some of you are overjoyed. Look at you, you're self-employed, analyzing, visualizing all day. And you'll be taking care of business. Time away, taking care of business. Tap away, I'll be taking care of business. It's alright, taking care of business and working overtime. Work out. You're a data-loving whiz who is living off the viz, using graphics, green, pink, or yellow. You're a Tableau using style, you're a hipster, you go far. You're getting your flow and keep it mellow. People see you having fun, visualizing in the sun. Tell them that you like it this way. Lots of friends are annoyed cause your work makes you overjoyed, analyzing, visualizing all day. And we be taking care of business, tap away, taking care of business, tap away. I'll be taking care of business. It's alright, taking care of business and working overtime. Mercy. Alright, alright. Take good care of my business.